Hi, George here, and today I'll be showing you a fairly easy project, but it can add a lot to a photograph, and that's to blur out the background. And it's especially useful in pictures like this, where the background really is just as in focus as the foreground, and it detracts from your main subject. Just a little bit of blurring in here can really make the subject pop out. Now I'm showing this in Affinity Pixel, which is the one that's owned by Canva, but the same process also works in Affinity Photo 2, and I'll show you the differences in there as we get to those. Okay, let's start off by making a copy in here of the background. Right-click and choose Duplicate. There we go. Here's our duplicated background. We now need to make a selection around our foreground subject. That's real easy to do. Go to this tool right here. This is the Object Selection tool. And let's let this think a little bit. Now, the same tool is available over in Affinity Photo 2. It just has a different icon, but it's in the same location. Okay, with this tool, you roll over the part that you want to select. I want to have this girl selected right here. Click on that. That then makes that selection. There we go. I now want to come in and refine the selection, mostly along where the hair is, just to get that edge a lot nicer. So let's go up here to Refine. I'll leave everything at its default settings. I like using the Overlay Preview, which gives you that red mask, making it very easy. And let's just come around and just quickly run this tool over the different parts that I want to have refined. Now, the first brush stroke you make takes a little longer. All the rest go very fast, just like that. So the first one kind of goes in, figures the whole picture out. And then everything else goes very quickly. So let's just go just around the edges here. What we're doing is asking Affinity to go in and take a closer look at that edge and do a better selection. And it's very good at doing this. Now, this isn't really super critical in here because we're keeping the same background. What that means is if we miss anything on here, it's still going to be there in the background photo. I just want to select this image out from the background so we can then blur the background. Okay, so we have that done. We have the edge refined. Let's just come down here and we want to change this to a mask because we're doing a mask on this layer. Choose Apply. And there we go. If I hide the background, you see there is the foreground with that mask selected. If we drop it down here, there you go. It's in that background. Okay, let's now come down to our background. And so we have this protected. I'm going to right-click on this. Let's make another duplicate layer. Let's hide the original. That's just a safety, just in case. I'll lock that one. In case things get messed up, I can always come back to this one and try again. That's because I'll be changing the pixels on this layer in here. Okay, let's just change my tool here to the Move tool. And let's go up to Pixel and Filters. This is a little different from over in Affinity Photo 2. That just has a menu up here that says Filters. And here it's Pixel Filters. Aside from that, it's the same. And then Blur, and we want the Gaussian blur. Let's just bring just a little bit. If I blur this a lot, you can see what happens back there. The background gets blurred out. The foreground stays nice and sharp. So I want just a little bit of blurring. I want enough so that the foreground begins to pop out from the background. And it's kind of a personal choice. If you go too far, it's pretty phony. I want just enough. And I'm looking right over in here. I want to see that being actually blurry right there. And sometimes rocking back and forth like this can help you find the exact amount. And I think right about there looks really nice. Choose Apply. And there we go. It's easy to see this. If I unhide that layer, then I'll show and hide. So here's before and here's after. It's a very subtle thing, but right over in here and right down here, that's now blurred out. Here's before the blur, here's after the blur. And with those being blurred out, just being just a little bit soft, it makes the foreground really pop out. If you want to, we can go a little bit further here on the foreground. And let's do a little bit of an adjustment in here. Come down here and click on the Adjustments button. And this is the same button as over in Affinity Photo 2, except that the button is over here a bit further. They just shuffle things a little bit. The one you want is Levels. It's at the top. Here we go. And I want to increase my contrast a little bit. I'm going to make the darks darker, just like this. Looks pretty good right here. I'll make the lights lighter. So by pulling in the two sides, I've increased the contrast in here. And notice how the adjustment came in on its own level here, and it is acting on everything. I don't want to have that happening. I want it just acting on the foreground subject. So let's right-click where it says Levels Adjustment and come down to Create Clipping Mask. And now it's only being applied to just the foreground subject layer right there. And that's perfect. Let's just come down. We'll hide that and show it. There you go. It's before and after. And now our subject really pops out from that background. It makes a much better looking photograph. Again, easy to do in here. Doesn't require a lot of steps, but makes your picture look a lot more professional with just a few simple tweaks. Okay, let's go over to Affinity Photo 2. I'll just show you how everything is that we just used. But first I'll go ahead and I'll save this picture. Always do a save. I'm going to do a save as to a different location. And I'll put it right here with my Affinity Photo project files and choose Save. Okay, let's switch over to Affinity Photo 2, and I'll show you where the tools are that we just used in here for this project. Okay, here I are with the same beginning photograph. And of course, making a background is easy. Just right click and duplicate. Works the exact same way. There you go. Runs a little faster in the newer Affinity Pixel. We used adjustments and they're right down here. Same location as I mentioned. There's the levels up here. It's just over here in Affinity Photo and it's over here in Affinity Pixel. Not a big deal on a difference. We used a tool up here, the object selection tool, to select out our subject. Same exact location. It's just a different icon. This looks like an owl and it's in color and it's a black and white thing over there in Affinity Pixel. So not much different here. And then on our blur filter up here to the top, this just says filters. We go right there. Over in Affinity Pixel, you go up to pixel and then filters. But again, same thing, blur and Gaussian blur. And one last difference in here, if we use one of these adjustments, let's just go ahead, we'll do levels. I'll leave it right there. It comes in on its own layer. Right click on this and over in Affinity Pixel, you came down into clipping mask. Here in Affinity Photo, you come down and you do mask to below right there. So Affinity Pixel is clipping mask and Affinity Photo is mask to below, but it does the exact same thing. Aside from those slight differences on the locations of these things, everything works exactly the same here in Affinity Photo as it does in the newer Affinity Pixel. Okay, we're back here in Affinity Pixel again. Now, if you're still using Affinity Photo 2 and you want to get more training on that, I have a complete training course for that. I'll put a link for that in the description. I'm working on a new training course for Affinity Pixel. That'll be ready at some point in the summer. They're basically the same programs, just a couple of things have been moved around. Not that much of a difference in them. Now, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that thumbs up. Also, make sure you subscribe and hit notifications so you don't miss any videos in the future. I'm doing 1 to 2 Affinity Photo videos every single week, so you don't want to miss those. And I'll see you next time.